agenda. So I am going to go ahead and get us started. My name is Jenna Nilo. I am the Director of Marketing and Outreach for Illinois Digital Educators Alliance. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm keeping admitting people as this is going. But I just wanted to say hi and thank you. Thank you for all that you guys have been doing throughout this entire period, through the remote learning that we are all experiencing. Hopefully it's winding down for many of you. We are excited today, though, to have back with us Brooke and Amy from Fried Technology. They gave a fantastic presentation a few weeks back, I think it was, and they're back to do more, so we're very excited to have them. If you don't mind keeping yourself muted throughout the presentation, that will give Brooke and Amy the opportunity to not be interrupted. I'm going to do the same thing here in a minute. But we do welcome interaction, so please go ahead and use that chat link there, and you can ask all of your questions and everything in there. The other good thing about that chat is at the end of today's session, I am going to put the link for your PDHs in there. So I will mention when I do that, but just go ahead and keep an eye out at the end of today's session for that, and you will get your one PDH for joining us today. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and turn things over to Brooke and Amy, since I know they've got a lot to go over. So we're excited to have you. Thanks so much for being here today, Brooke and Amy.
Thank you so much for having us. We're delighted to be back with you guys again. So I'm Amy. Nice to meet you guys. And this is my colleague, Brooke. I don't know where she shows up for you. For me, she's right up there.
Hey guys, my name is Brooke and I'm also with Fried Technology, and we're excited to be with you guys again today.
Definitely. We're going to kind of build on the skills that we started with last time. You guys, if you guys were with us last time, then you probably know that we're kind of obsessed with Google Slides. We use it for everything. And so today we're going to talk about how we can use it as a self-paced learning activity for students. So a lot of times when we want to kind of switch our classroom to be more student-centered, that's a really scary feeling, because we don't want things to get chaotic. And we have that same desire even though we're remote. Like, we don't want to cause chaos in somebody's home because they can't figure out what to do, or there's too many choices or whatever. And yet we know that giving students choices is good for them and is going to improve their learning. So we're going to kind of show you a slow release way that you can embed in more choices for students while you're still feeling like you're being really clear and specific with what you're asking. And we love feedback also. So if you see something that you like, if you want to share, hey, I did something similar to that, but this is what I did, or whatever, please do use the chat at any time, because that'll be really fun for us to hear about. And hopefully, somebody will interrupt if there is a question too. So Jenna, please feel free to unmute and let us know if there are questions that we should address, because we may not be able to look at that and, click around at the same time. All right. So are you guys?
Will do.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Are you guys seeing my screen okay?
I see it, Amy, so I think it's good to go.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy Lamberti. I see you right down there. You're my person. So if you have a question, you need to make faces or something, because I can see you right now. All right. So we call this presentation Click, Click, Boom, because we know that when we go to conferences, we better find something, like cute and clever to call things, or no one will come to our sessions, especially if, like when we were at Illinois Con, we'd never met you guys, or IdeaCon, we'd never met you guys before. And so we're like, how are we going to get them to come? So we try to come up with cool names. So it's Click, Click, Boom, because we want to blow students' minds with distance learning. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to click a few slides into this so you can kind of get an impression of what it looks like. And then I'm going to move over and I'm going to use editable slides, because we're actually going to be doing things. I want to demonstrate not only the concept, but how to actually make it, so that hopefully when you leave this hour with us today, you have a lot of ideas that you can integrate. So I'm Amy. This is my colleague, Brooke. We'd love for you guys to find us and follow us on social media. So on Twitter, my Twitter name is Fried Tech Amy, and our company is Fried Technology. And then Brooke's Twitter name is B_out of the box. and you can find her there. And we also both take a look at those tweets at Pride Technology. We also have a pretty lively Facebook page. We'd love for you guys to find us there. And we'll tell you more about that toward the end today. If you learned something new today and you want to give us a shout out, we would love it if you mention Fried Technology and then also put the hashtag in, hashtag Fried Fan. Doesn't matter how you capitalize it. It's no problem if you don't remember to capitalize the E, but Fried Fan is what we look for on Twitter. All right, so I want to show you an example real quick. And if you want, I know you may have a phone there with you or a piece of paper there with you. So if you want, feel free to jot down this URL. You can go through this whole self-paced lesson and you can marvel at all of the amazing things that Jessica did with this lesson. So this is made by our colleague Jessica. Whoops, sorry, let me go back just a second. This one is made by our colleague Jessica, and I'm going to flip over and show it to you for a second, but I also want you to have it to look at later because I guarantee you, it's going to get you thinking, how did she do that several different times? I have been to this session with her and I had to ask her that question myself, and I use slides every single day. So
Amy,
go ahead, Brooke.
I think your hyperlink you're looking for is on the box.
Oh, okay, great. All right, so I'm going to flip over for just a second and show you guys what this looks like, just so we can sort of all wrap our heads around what we want to learn to make today. So this particular lesson is an ELA example, but I don't want you to get stopped by that. If you teach math, if you teach science, trust us on this, you can use these same strategies with every single subject area. So picture this, we're a student now, we have received this assignment. Doesn't matter whether we're back in school face-to-face, gosh, I hope that happens soon, or kids are at home and we're in our home offices. Works the same way. We assign this maybe through Google Classroom, maybe we send kids a URL. That's a way too. Then they're clicking this Get Started button. Now they're seeing, I've got a bunch of different activities here. Here's Miss Powell and she's giving me my directions. So let's see, I'm going to go and take a look at activity 1. So here we are. I want to look at this vocabulary study. So I can click on this, and do you see how I'm kind of navigating through this lesson? In my headphones, I'm hearing my teacher's voice. She's giving me instructions that I can follow. And I also have instructions on the screen about what I'm supposed to click, what I need to do. So are you guys I just want you to give me a thumbs up or a yeah or something like that in the chat real quick. Do you understand what kind of thing it is we're making here? A self-paced lesson. Our students are going to be able to click around in this. They're going to actually have activities that they're going to be creating. And today what we're going to do is we're going to learn the technical skills that you need to make something like this.
I'm getting lots of yeses in the chat.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great to hear. All right. Wonderful. Thanks you guys very much for participating. Okay, so it's a really cool idea, am I right? I mean, and yes, I love that, Barb. We can use this to differentiate too. So what I would do as a teacher is I would create this lesson and I would think of a student. I would think of my middle of the road student who she doesn't have maybe any kind of disabilities. She also is maybe not gifted. She's a middle of the road kid, my regular kid. And I would think about that kid while I made this lesson. And then what I would do is when I got it all finished and it was beautiful and wonderful, and I'm not talking about, this is not one day's worth of work. We're going to use this for days and days because it's going to take us a lot of time and effort to create. So this is going to be a long thing. Once I did that, then I would copy it. And now I would focus on one of my students who has a set of maybe disabilities he or she brings to the table, maybe dyslexia. Maybe it's something like a slower processing than some of my other students. I would think about that student. And now I would differentiate it. I might take out some activities. I might, on that vocabulary list we just looked at, I might make this a few fewer words. I might not have this many words for a student who I think it's going to take a little bit longer to complete things. And then I'd go back to my middle of the road lesson. I'd copy it again. Now I'm going to think about one of my gifted students or my high achievers. What is my high achiever going to want to do? How is that student going to be able to take this to the next level? All right, let's go now and start learning some of the skills that are used in that presentation that I gave you as an example. And then I'm also going to go out of this view that we're looking at, and I'm going to take a look at this in the editable mode. So the blended learning essentials that we're trying to make sure we get into this lesson is the pace. Is my student going to be able to choose their own pace? And I think the answer you're going to find is yes. Is the place going to be able to be differentiated? Can my student do this from home, from the classroom, from the library, from wherever he or she is? I think you'll find the answer is yes. And then the path. So this is a way we can give our students more choices. Can my students choose some things about how they go about completing this? And I think the answer will be yes. All right. Here's some new slides some new skills we're going to learn today. I think some of these are going to be really familiar to you. But I don't know, you guys, there could be somebody here today who is not really super familiar with slides. So quickly, I'm going to spend almost no time going over the really basic stuff, but I also don't want to leave somebody behind. So if we want to put a new slide into our presentation, that's this button on my keyboard. I can choose on my screen, I can choose a layout if I want to, or I can just do a plus sign for a new slide, but I really love this option. So I've taken all this time now to get all these boxes here, get them all lined up, get them all looking right. So this option is great. I can also right-click a slide and duplicate. And that's going to give me another slide with all these buttons. Now I can change all the words if I want to, but I don't have to go back to ground zero creating all of my matching buttons there again. Another thing that might be helpful as your students are moving through these things, you might want to confine them to a certain way to move through the slides. So what you want to do then is maybe skip some slides. So how you can do that is you right-click a slide and choose Skip Slide. Do you see now that over on the left-hand side, this slide has got a little eyeball with a cross through it? It doesn't mean my students won't be able to get to that slide, but if I skip it, I can add in navigation buttons and I can kind of control the way students are likely to navigate the slides. Brooke, do we have any questions or comments, or do you have anything to add to that?
I only have one thing to add.
Go ahead.
If you don't want to right-click duplicate, you can click on a slide and use you can use your Control D option, and it will duplicate the slide as well.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. Let me try out what Brooke just said. So I'm clicking on slide 15.
So it's highlighted. Yep.
It's highlighted, right? I'm going to hold down Control or Command on my keyboard, and then I'm going to press and release the letter D. And when I do that, lo and behold, I get a whole new slide that exactly matches. So if you're a keyboard person, you're going to love that one. Love that. All right, so we know.
Now I need to do it one more time.
Oh, go ahead.
So if you have multiple templates in here, sometimes so what you can do is you can select multiple slides over there in the slide deck on the left-hand side by holding down your Shift key or Control key to select those, and still use Control D, and it will duplicate the whole set.
Wow. Okay, let's go into slide sorter view for just a second so we can kind of see what's happening.
And for those of you who don't know us, I have to stop and say these things because if I realize that she doesn't know it, sometimes I get in trouble if I don't share it. So
you do. We often get in trouble for not sharing with people that we work with and care about. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah. All right. So if I wanted to duplicate this slide and then two more down here, I'm going to hold down my Control key. I'm going to click through on all the slides that I want to duplicate. And now when I hold down Control and I press and release the letter D, I got 3 new slides. Here they are, 24, 25, and 26 now. Yep. So now I can quickly duplicate those slides. So that makes the creation process a whole lot faster and easier because you don't have to do your whole process over and over again every time you do something. Okay, thanks for sharing that, Brooke. Do we have any questions that we should address right now?
Nope, everything looks good.
Okay, awesome. All right, we learned how to skip. We learned how to duplicate. I want to make sure everybody knows how to insert video. So I want you guys to be able to make your own videos. The easiest, best way to do that is through Screencastify, in my opinion. I've looked at a lot of different tools, and that one is a Chrome extension, makes it really easy. So this will work with videos that you have created and saved to your Google Drive, which Screencastify does, or videos you find on YouTube. So I can go to Insert, Video, and then I can either search YouTube from here. Now, pro tip, I don't know why, but sometimes when you search YouTube through here, you don't see all the options. So sometimes what I want to do is just go over to YouTube, find the video I want, and then use the by URL option to paste the link in there. If I have made the video myself and it's saved into Google Drive, then I'm going to go to that third option, My Drive, and it's going to show me all of the videos that I have made recently and uploaded to Google Drive. So when I find the video I want, I can just click on it, click Select, and it's going to pop right into my presentation. At first, it's going to appear full screen, but then just like it's a picture, I can pull down the corner of the video and make it fit into the space. All right, another thing that I can do with videos is once I get a video inserted, and this opened for me automatically, so I'm going to show you how to force it to open in case you don't see it. Once I have inserted a video, and I have it clicked, so you see the blue squares around my video, it's selected. Then I can go to Format Options, and I can choose what part of the video I want to autoplay for my students, for example. So this video is 1 hour and 59 minutes long. Nobody wants to watch all that. So let's make it start at 30 seconds. And then if we want to, we can play it for a couple of seconds, and then we can do use current time. So this plays from 30 seconds to 32 seconds. If I want it to play from 30 seconds to 1 minute, 32 seconds, I can do that. Then if I want this to automatically go when my students are looking at this in presentation mode, we'll show you how to make sure that that's the mode they're looking at it in. So I can use autoplay when presenting. And if we go back to school face-to-face in the fall and you don't want to hear your own voice throughout the room before your kids can get their earbuds in, then you can also choose to start it with audio muted. They can always go back and replay that, but you won't get the big cacophony when everybody gets to slide 18 because the video's auto-playing for them if you choose mute audio. All right, do we have any questions? You guys doing okay?
More on skipping the slides and why we would skip the slide.
Okay, it's a great question. So when I go back over, let me go back to Jessica's original presentation and show you why she chose to do that. So this is this particular one she put together and kind of showed every single skill and way you might ever want to use this tool. So when we go to this presentation, I really don't want my students to click and then move forward right here, right? I'm clicking right here in the white part. That's not the intention. What I want is for them to click Get Started and for that to move them forward. But in a regular presentation, so here is a regular presentation. Maybe, I don't know if she did it on this slide. In a regular presentation, when I click this white background, it's going to move forward to the next slide that's not skipped. So Jessica did a cool thing, and Brooke, you're going to have to remind me how she did this. So the cool thing that Jessica did to make it so that people have to click here on this box, for example, to move forward. They can't just click the slide and move forward. Let me show you what I mean. So on this one, I didn't use Jessica's cool trick. When I click the background of the slide, it's going to go to the very next slide that is not skipped. Are y'all with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
So what we want it to do is we want to have control. We want to choose that they can only click this button. That is the only way they can get to another slide. So in this presentation, if I could look at the background of this, the editable version of this, in reality, every single slide in this presentation is skipped except for the first slide. You with me on that so far, Brooke? That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if every one of my slides is skipped, And I don't want my students to be able to just click anywhere and move forward. Like I'm clicking random places on here, I'm moving forward. I don't want that to happen. Then this is what I do. I skip all the slides except for my one with the button I want students to use. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a shape and I'm going to cover up my slide. So I'm going to make sure this box is in the front. So I can do that with Control Shift and then my up arrow. And then this box right here is going to cover up the entire slide. And now I'm going to make that box transparent and I'm going to make the border transparent. Now what happens is if I go back over, let me go back to that particular slide again, and I refresh on this. And over here, all my slides are skipped. Brooke, can I multiple select and skip slides too?
I think so. Yeah, right click.
Okay, so let me make sure all my other slides are skipped. So I'm sort of replicating what Jessica did here. All right, so everything's skipped except for this slide that's got the button on it. You all with me? You can tell me in the chat if you're with me. I'll see it pop up.
Amy's giving you the thumbs up.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. I can't see Amy anymore. Now I've lost my person. All right, so if I come to this slide now, I had it linked to the self-paced book study, but here's the theory. If I come to this slide and I click anywhere on this slide except for in this box right here, it's not going anywhere. And the reason why is because the only thing in that slide that's linked is this one space right here. Now, you kind of had to understand that in theory because I didn't really make it work. Are you all with me? Do you get the concept of skipping all the slides and then controlling with these buttons?
Yeah, and another part of that trick that helps is when we're using the hyperlinks, the links inside the slide, is making that transparent box link to the slide you're currently seeing.
Yeah, okay, let me do that too.
That's where it keeps you there.
Yes, okay. So, and that's what I did wrong. I had this selected when I drew it. All right, here's the rest of the concept. Thanks, Brooke. This transparent box that I'm clicked on right now, it should be linked to this slide. So we're going to back up for a second because first I have to show you how to link to a slide within a slide deck. And then we'll go back and do that. So when students click on place, I want it to go to slide number 10, which is about place. When they click on pace up here, I want it to go to slide number 8, which is about pace. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose my button that I want to go to a different slide. And now I'm going to use my hyperlink option. And notice it popped up this box down beneath. And I'm going to force this button to hyperlink to the slide where I want it to go, which is in this presentation. So I could use the next slide, previous slide, but I think that it probably is safer to use slide 8. All right, so now when I apply that, if I'm on slide number 7 and I click paste, it goes to slide 8. If I'm on 9 and I want place this button to go to slide 10, I can right click it also. Another way to get to the hyperlink option, I can go to link and I can link this to slide 10. All right, are y'all with me on that? Can you give me a got it in the chat real quick?
I'm just curious, how many of you was that new for to see that linking a slide inside of a slide? Sometimes that's usually a new thing for people that's like, wait, what? New for you. Good. I'm glad that was there. And the transparent. Thanks, guys. We're glad to be able to share that then. We've been making those transparent boxes for a while, and we had a gentleman on a call the other day that started calling them ghost boxes for us.
Yes. I forgot about that.
And we were like, we're going to start using that ghost box.
Yes, ghost box. Okay, so let's go back. It looks like you guys are good on the linking within the slide. So let's go back and talk about the ghost box a little bit more. So the way this ghost box works, and I'm going to start from the beginning because I don't feel like I did a great job explaining that last time. So here we are at the beginning. I'm on my slide. I only want this button to work. I want this to be the only thing that people can click and do anything with on this slide. So I'm going to click off of that. So I'm not clicked on anything right now. Now I'm going to draw my ghost box. So I'm going to go up to my shape. I'm going to grab a rectangle. I'm going to cover my whole slide up with the rectangle. So it's basically all covered. Now I'm going to make this rectangle transparent. So right now it's got a fill color that's gray. I'm going to go up to my fill color bucket and make it transparent. I'm going to go up to my line color bucket and make it transparent. Now, normally I would probably do this in order and I wouldn't have to go get my one linkable thing and move it back to the top, but I'm doing this after the fact. So I got to make sure that my thing I want them to be able to click is on top. See, there's my ghost box and there's my thing I want to be able to be clicked.
And the reason that you know that the clickable item is on top is because you can still click on it. So just because something is transparent doesn't mean that you can reach through it. It's like it's still a very strong invisible wall. So you'll know that you were successful in placing something on top of that invisible wall if you can click it and see the blue selecting lines around it.
Yes, great. That's a great point. All right, here's the other step Brooke reminded me of that really takes this next level. So now when students click right here in this white space, I want it to do nothing. I want it to go nowhere and do nothing. I don't want it to advance to another slide. So I'm going to click on that box and I'm going to hyperlink this box to itself. So this is slide 5. I'm going to scroll down and link the box to slide 5. So if I click anywhere but in this part right here, I'm going to stay on slide 5 and it looks like I cannot move forward. All right, let's go see if it worked now that I really think I got all the steps now. Also, this is a great thing if you love your colleagues. It's a really great thing to make something like this and then share it. Let everybody have your copy and, teach everybody how to do it so that you're not having to make every self-paced slides activity your kids do. All right, so now if I click here, nothing happens because remember, I'm linked to slide 5 and this is slide 5. Nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. If I click though on this button, remember, it's linked actually to an external slide deck. So it goes to my digital book study. That's what we wanted to happen. That's what it did. All right. Do we have questions?
We had one question that I want to address it because it's such a great question. And that is, once you've linked inside of slides, what happens if I need to add another slide? Does it mess up all the number orders? Do I have to go back and relink everything? And the answer is no. Google Slide automatically updates all of the slide numbers that are already linked. You don't ever have to go back and unclick. Amy right now could insert 13 slides after slide number 5, and it would just move that number that she already has linked in on the pace and path, the pace and place. That's hard to say. Pace and place. Good grief. Slide. It will change that slide 9. It'll move it to now what the current number is. So you never have to worry about those numberings with the links, which to me is
just so smart.
Because if it didn't, I can't lie about it. It'd probably be my deal breaker because if you have to go back and undo and redo all of that, no.
It would be so painful.
Yeah.
You'd never update anything. So look what happened. So y'all remember initially when I linked pace, it went to slide 8 and I told it specifically to go to slide 8. But now I've added 2 new slides in between 7 and now what is 10, which used to be slide 8. See, you saw me do this. I didn't change this, but now it goes to slide 10.
Yeah.
So it's really smart.
Right. And remember, guys, so the reason that it opened a new tab when Amy clicked on the slide earlier was because she was, that was already set to go to another slide deck. So if she had linked it to a slide inside the slide deck, it would have just skipped to it. It wouldn't have opened a new tab. That was a totally different slide presentation that it went to.
Absolutely right. Okay, I just saw a question. It's a really good one. I bet you saw it too, Brooke.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was like, we got to go over that.
Was it Barb? Is that who said it?
Are naming the slides? Bonnie.
Bonnie. Okay, Bonnie. Bonnie, that's a great question. And it's a kind of a weird answer too. So I'm really glad you asked. So when you make a new slide, in a slide deck and you use any of these that say click to add title. So I know that's really small for you, but all of these have a title box. Not all slides have a title box, but all of the ones that have a title box, this is where the title of the slide comes from. So I'm going to call this slide, no, I'm going to call it title of the slide. All right, so I called it title of the slide. Now, if I want to, I could make that small. I could make it invisible. I can do whatever with it. Let's say I don't really want that to be on the slide, but that box right there is special. And what I don't want to do is get rid of it if I'm going to use the technique that you described, which is a good idea. The idea is, let me name the slides what they are so that when I go back to link them together, I actually know what I'm looking at. Great idea. So now slide 9 is called title of the slide because I put it in that special box where the title goes. So now if I want to link this box to that slide, watch what I see. When I go to the hyperlink now and I go to slides in this presentation and I start scrolling, do you see it? Slide 9, title of the slide. So no matter what slide, this could become slide 50, doesn't matter. It's still going to be called title of the slide. And the reason why is because we use that special space and we didn't just delete it.
Yeah.
Great question. All right, what other questions do you guys have right now before we move on to some of these other skills?
Let me look at the... Yeah, Barb, I was the same way probably the first time that I realized that some of my slides had names. I was like, where is that coming from? And then it's definitely those pre-coded title slides. They really help a whole lot with that process. And another thing is Amy's been able to navigate the linking box really easily. So sometimes if you're working with a shape and you click that insert link and it kind of runs off your page and you can't seem to scroll down, use your arrow keys on your keyboard instead of trying to find the little scroll button, and then you can use your arrow keys and that will let you go down and click the slide that you want. I've had that problem a couple times when I'm working too close to the bottom of the slide.
Yeah, I agree. That's a common problem. Sometimes I've even gotten frustrated with it and moved my box up. Yeah. And then done my hyperlink and then moved it back down. Do you see what Jessica did there though? I just noticed. So this button's not linked. This is a transparent box that's linked.
Yeah, because
it's a smart idea.
Yeah, it's because it's really hard to, just like on the slide that you were showing earlier had the fried.tech presentation in it. The reason that you may want to think about adding transparent or those ghost boxes over buttons like this is because here Amy has a box and then she has words. And the box, she had to click directly on the side of the box to get it to go to the hyperlink and not on the words itself. So if you're combining two elements together that way, sometimes it's easier just to throw another transparent box up there and link it so that you don't have to worry about in the general area where the kids are going to click. Especially if you're working with littles in slides, I like to make anything just a little bit bigger, giving them more space with their mouse to click.
Let's kind of go over what Brooke just talked about because I think she made a really good point, and this is a common misconception. So something I might want to do is I might want to put a hyperlink on a slide and I might want somebody to go outside of the slide deck, which is what the first example we showed was. So let's do hyperlink that goes to a web page. All right. So hyperlink that goes to a web page. Well, I have a bunch of different options right now. One thing I can do is I can link this text. So I can select the text and go to the insert link button. And I could say, like, maybe I want you to go to our website, this fried.tech. If I do that, do you see how it changed the look of my text? And that may not be like, you can tell, hopefully, that we paid at least some attention to the aesthetics here. And I may not want that to look like a hyperlink. Like, that may kind of not be my purpose here, you know? So I don't have to just be stuck with hyperlinking text because I don't care if people click on those words themselves. I want this whole thing to be the hyperlink, the whole box. So what I can do is make sure I'm either selecting the outside of the box before I do the hyperlink. So now I'm going to do same web address, fried.tech. So now anyone who clicks anywhere in here on the text, on the box, anywhere is going to go to that web page. Does that make sense, y'all? Another thing that can happen is you think when you're putting in the hyperlink that you have the outside of the box selected because you see it like this. But you see also my cursor is blinking. And this, every time I do this training face-to-face, this happens. The cursor's actually blinking in the box. And what accidentally ends up happening is we accidentally end up pasting the hyperlink into the box, and it really freaks everybody out. Because that's hideous, right? We don't want that.
It is.
So just don't forget about your undo button, top left up here, or Control Z on your keyboard, and just go back and you want to make sure that you are clicked on the outside of your box and your cursor is not blinking. Because when that cursor is blinking inside, if you paste, it's going to paste the hyperlink into the box. All right. Let me take a look at these and see what we kind of haven't looked at that makes sense next. You got an idea, Brooke?
Yeah, I think we need to make sure that we show them how to give the kids the presentable link.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's do that next, and then we'll come back and do as many more skills as we can. So when your kids are looking at these self-paced lessons, do you see how I don't see the slide sorter on the left? We know we did the fancy thing with the ghost box where we can't just click anywhere and move forward. We got to click on the Get Started button. We skipped all the slides inside so that we're forcing kids to move through using the buttons that we have created. If I click out here, nothing happens. Got to click on my buttons to go to my different things. Then I have a back button. That back button just links back to this slide 2 again, just like we practiced before. Crap, Brooke, what was I going to talk about? I forgot.
Presentable link.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So this is really important because what you're looking at is not like this where you see the sorter and all that. They can just click around anywhere. So this is how you do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to File, Publish to the Web. And it doesn't matter when you do this. You can do it when you first create the presentation. Doesn't matter. It's going to auto update. File, Publish to the Web. And then this thing I think is one of the most confusing things about Google. Don't click anything up here. So people are like, but I don't want it to auto advance every 3 seconds. It's not going to unless you click these buttons. So don't click anything else. All I did is this. I just clicked File, Publish to the Web. Now I click nothing else. I'm just going to copy this URL. Now, when I go to a new tab and I paste in that URL, so I'm going to use my right click in the Omnibox, paste and go. It's going to go to the published version of these slides. See, with no slide sorter on the side, this is the published version. Now, Brooke, you taught me a trick to get this into Google Classroom, how I want it to go. Will you go over the steps of that trick?
I will. But when you were doing that, I started thinking about how we decided that it did work the other way. So
does it? Well, tell me how I get this into Google Classroom.
So the
easiest way.
So from the publish link, I'm about to try it right now just to make sure. But another thing to think about here, guys, is make sure that you always check your permissions before, because even though you're putting it into Google Classroom, that published link is different. So you want to make sure that you have it set to anyone with the link can view. So
actually, Brooke, I may be about to blow your mind.
Oh, does it work that way?
Yes, you do not have to change the permissions if you use the published link. Yes.
Now I'm feeling crazy about that.
I promise.
I had one not work recently. I wonder what we did differently.
I don't know.
But you know what? I bet we had it in our domain. Now that I'm thinking through that, if it's set to only within the domain sometimes on there, I wonder if that didn't change.
Maybe, but you should not have to do that.
Now I'm going to check that out and see. Turns out I'm a student in this class. I want to
we're always students in every class.
Before I want to give them these directions, I want to make sure that I can do this correctly.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm doing right now is I'm in a Google Classroom, and I'm going to paste the publish link from that exact place that Amy just went to. So, she went to File, Publish to the Web, and she grabbed that. She just did her Control C to grab that link. I'm adding it as a link, not from Google Drive, because if you add anything from Google Drive, then that's going to give them the view where they're going to see all the slides over on the left-hand side. So I'm trying this, make sure that this works as a link, and it should take it into publish form. If not, I do know a trick that will work.
All right, so I just did the steps as Brooke was talking about them. I put it in as a link, and now I'm going to click assign. And what should happen with that assignment is that when my students click on that, they should be taken to the published view.
Yep, it worked. There
yes.
you go.
So used to, you had to shorten the link, but I think what you're telling me is you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, for a while that didn't work, but that's why when you said it, I was like, oh man, I should have tested that, because me and Julie Yandell, who works in Wichita Falls, Texas, she uses these quite a bit. And I remembered her saying that was now a full function in Google Classroom, which was great.
That is awesome. So here's the only trick you have to remember. When you're assigning your self-paced slides and you do not want them to see the sorter, what you're going to do when you go to your ad, normally, you would go to Google Drive and you would select the presentation, but not in this case, because remember, you're controlling the path that they're going to move around those slides with your buttons. So what you're going to do is go to add, and you're going to use link instead. And then the link you're pasting in there is, hold on, let me go back again, is this one. This is the link. The one that you're getting from File, Publish to the Web is the one that you're going to paste in. And so that when they click on it, they're going to see this view of it instead of this view of it. All right, can you all let us know in the chat? That was a lot of words. Does that make sense why you paste it that way? Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Bonnie.
Good, great.
Awesome. Thanks, Catherine. Okay, cool. All right, let's see what other skills we should learn today. Brooke, you got ideas?
I will. Will you show them how, when they're working in with the boxes, instead of using the keyboard shortcuts for arranging, how to use either the Arrange tab or to right-click and arrange to move their layers forward and backwards?
Yes, I will. And furthermore, I do want to take a minute and I want to show you how to even make these boxes. Because I find people really love this, and I really love teaching it. So I'm going to teach you how to make buttons, because it's just so fun. You're going to want to make buttons the rest of the day today. All right, so here we are. We want some buttons on our slide. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our shape tool again. And I usually just use this rounded rectangle because to me, this looks like what a button should look like. Child of the 70s, this is what buttons look like. So here we are, this is a button. Now what I want to do is I want to make this button look ideal. I want to control every aspect of it, because what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to copy it over and over again. So I'm not going to have to do all this work again. So I'm going to choose a fill color. Let me do it a little different this time, just so it will look different from the ones we did before. I can choose a color on the outside, and then I can make it bigger with this button. I can choose how my text is going to look inside. So I'm just going to do sample text, because this is going to be my button that I copy.
And Amy, how'd you get those words inside that shape so fast?
Oh yeah, what a great point. So I see people do this sometimes. They'll go get a text box and they'll draw it over their button. But now every time you move that text box, you got to move the button behind it. And that's kind of a pain. So you don't want to do that. Every single shape is a text box. So if you double click in it, it's going to let you type. So here we are now with our text inside that shape, which is also a text box, and we can select what font we want, and we can control what color it's going to be.
You want another one? Okay.
No, we can fix the size.
Okay.
So we can do all of that stuff to make this look exactly like we want it to look. I don't think that's the prettiest button I ever saw in my life, but anyway, you make it the prettiest one you ever saw in your life. Maybe being pink will make it look better. Makes most things look better. All right, so there we go. We did a lot of steps to that, but we don't have to do all those steps over and over again. because what we're going to do is we're now going to duplicate the button. And Brooke taught me this. I was doing this. I was holding down Control, pressing and releasing C, holding down Control, pressing and releasing V. And I mean, that wasn't a whole lot of work. As my dad would say, it ain't exactly busting rocks. I agree. But anything we can do to make life easier, right? So here's what Brooke taught me. I click on the button. I hold down Control. I press and release D, like duplicate. And every time I do that, I get another button. So I'm going to make a few buttons like that. Hold down Control or Command on a Mac, press and release the letter D. And now what Brooke has asked me to teach you is how to make these buttons really be in perfect alignment, because this is the kind of thing that drives people like her nuts when I make a presentation and they are not all lined up perfectly. And I'm like, looks fine to me, Brooke. And she's like, nope, I'll be up till, midnight tonight fixing that because I can't stand the way that looks. And I love that Brooke does that, because the next morning I'm like, oh, that does look better. All right, here's how she does it. So I'm going to purposefully make these look all wonky because I want to use the computer's tools to make them line up perfectly. So what I'm going to do is click on my first button. I'm going to hold down Shift, click on my second, third, and fourth buttons. Now I'm going to go up to Arrange, and I'm going to align these buttons to the center. Ooh, they already look pretty good. Now I'm going to go to Arrange, and I'm going to go to Distribute, and I'm going to distribute them vertically. And that is going to make all the spaces in between them identical. And now, I mean, it looks a lot better, and even Brooke will say this is lined up. We went to a presentation recently, and somebody had what looked like sticky notes all over a slide, and they weren't lined up, and I thought she was going to have some kind of a fit. She couldn't do anything about it. We were just there watching, and I could just feel her hand just itching to align everything on that slide. She couldn't do it.
Yeah, it was pretty painful.
Yeah, it's funny when that hangout was over. Jessica came and told me, "Man, Brooke, she's probably going to need a nap after that one." All right, so now I've still got all of these selected. Which, by the way, if I accidentally clicked off of them, I can always just hold down Shift, and I can multiple select all those again by just clicking on each button. Because now maybe what I want to do is maybe I want to do Control or Command D again, and I want to have another set of buttons. So I can now have columns of buttons if I want. And as long as I watch my red alignment there, I can get these pretty lined up. And I can make columns and columns, scads and scads of buttons by just duplicating. All right, are there any questions out there?
Can you show how to move one forward so that make sure that it's always on top?
So first I'm going to put this on top. Like, let's say I didn't think to put that box down there to begin with, and then I decide I need a little bit more color in my slide or whatever. So then I come and I draw this new shape here that I want to be on my slide. It would be really nice if I could just draw the shape and release it before I get to the edge. There we go. All right, let's say I want this to be a part of my slide now, but I don't want it covering up my buttons. I want it to be in the back. So what I can do now is hold down Control or Command, hold down Shift, and I can use my arrow key, and that will move it forward and back. Or if you're not a keyboard person, like sometimes I'm not a keyboard person, I want to use the mouse, then you can use Arrange Order, and you can do either Send Backward, which sends it backward one layer, or Send to Back, which will send it all the way to the back. In our case right now, since we only have 2 layers, these will do the same thing. But sometimes if you've got multiple layers, then you need some more control. So Send Backward or Send to Back are kind of 2 different things sometimes. All right, we have any other questions?
So far, I think we're doing good.
All right, awesome. Well, we're actually almost finished today because I want you guys to have time to evaluate our session today. That's going to let us know how we did as your trainers today, and it's also going to create a record that you attended staff development with us today. I know you're also going to get your certificate through your state agency, but we want to know who you are too, and we also want to add you to our mailing list if you're interested in that. So before we do that, I want to tell you about a few things that we have going on that I think you might care about. I really hope you enjoyed the lesson so far today. If we do have a couple of minutes at the end, we'll go back and learn another skill. If you did, this is how we teach. This is what we do. We know what teachers like because we live and die by evaluations. We really care what you guys think, that you had a good time, that it was something that you can use. And so we're constantly listening. We're constantly talking to teachers and finding out what cool things people are doing. And then, we try to turn that into sessions, try to turn it into online courses, try to turn it into conference topics, and then we share with everyone with credit, of course. So this is our online school. It's called Fried Online. If you go to our website, which is fried.tech, then you will immediately see a way to get to Fried Online. So all you have to remember is fried.tech. You can get to our online school right here. There's a button and these buttons that are going to appear here. So there's a bunch of different ways to get there. We have a lot of classes right now that I know you guys are going to care about. One of those classes that I know you're going to care about is Google Classroom in 5. So if you think you know everything about Google Classroom, I can almost guarantee you that you do not. But Google Classroom in 5 does know everything about Google Classroom. So it is on sale right now for, I think, $25. It's a 3-hour course. And if you follow our social media channels, then you can find all of our sales. And we're doing Teacher Appreciation Month. So we've got ways to get Google Level 1 certified that are super cheap. We've got all kinds of courses that are like 75% off right now. So check those out on social media. Another thing that we have going on, we're calling them cloud conferences. So we love summer learning. We love teachers who attend summer learning, but we know that this year that's not going to happen for a lot of us. We're not going to be traveling like we normally do. We normally are on, 4 airplanes a week, and we can't do that right now, which is painful. But we found a way to replicate the fun that we have in face-to-face conferences online. We call it a cloud conference. It is not just sitting in a webinar all day. There's way more to it than that. So if your school district is looking for ways to replace summer learning, please tell your school leaders to reach out to us. We would love to tell them, even if all we do is get in a call and show them how we're conducting these, that's no problem. We want to meet people. We want to share what we found works. And then later on, hopefully someday you want to use our services for PD. But if it's not today, that's okay. We'll still share what we know with you. All right. So I got to get you guys to do our evaluation. Especially if you appreciate what you learned today, then do this. This is a little repayment for the time that we spent together today. We would really appreciate it. And that URL is fried.tech/eval2020. It's all lowercase, fried.tech/eval2020. And if you will type in that URL or take a picture of it or whatever, that would really help us. Your PD credit is coming from your state organization who's hosting this conference. But what this will let us do, if you want to get on our mailing list, you will be finding out about any discounts we're putting out. We put out like all these new tips and tricks that we learn. So that'll get you on our mailing list if you'd like to do that. You can also opt out even if you filled that out. All right, when you guys tell me that you have got this, you've got this, this link, then I'll go back and teach you one more trick. So y'all tell me when you've got it. We'll do one more thing before we go.
And Amy, I wanted to talk just for a minute about another way you would use these self-paced slides.
Okay, cool.
So for those of you who, I made this one time for our school district. Our special ed teachers always gave us an RTI booklet, and they spent a lot of time taking construction paper because they loved us dearly, and they cut one piece of paper shorter than the next piece of paper, then the next piece of paper, then the next piece of paper, and they put different tiers on each of those pieces of paper, and then they put a ring on them in the upper corner. And they would pass those out to every classroom. And just as teachers know, every time we would go to a training, we would be getting these leaflets or booklets, or we have binders full of papers. So we actually used this thought process of linking slides inside of slides, and I recreated their RTI flip book using these linking slides inside of slides. So then there was just a link that teachers had to go to work through the RTI tiers. So that's just something to think about besides just self-paced learning. Think about some of the things that we recreate, like flip books, or when you're working with different types of items that you want your students to go through and a series of events. This is a way to put them through that as well, linking these slides inside of slides.
I'm kind of picturing what you're talking about, Brooke, and I don't think I've ever seen that presentation, and now I really want to see it because that's a fantastic idea. Yeah. So I want to show you a skill that I think would be needed in doing that, because I can kind of picture those little RTI ring binder things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm picturing them being more up and down, like shaped like a piece of paper versus broad and wide like a slide.
I actually did it on the slide, but yes, I agree with what you're saying as well.
Okay, so what I want to do then, I want to replicate this idea in a lot of different ways. So what I'm going to do is go to File, Page Setup, and I'm going to change from this slide view 16 by 9. I'm going to go to Custom, and I'm going to make my slides now 10 by 10 and apply. And when I do that now, I'm going to be able to make my slide presentation into squares. And this takes it kind of out of the mindset of this is a presentation, and sort of makes us think of something else. And it also does another thing. The other thing that it does is give us a view of the gray space. So we love the gray space at Fried Technology. We use it all the time. What you can do with the gray space is you can put notes over here that people will not see when they look at the presentation view of this file. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to put some notes over here, and then I'm going to, let's do another trick real quick. So I'm going to use the Explore tool, and I'm going to get the Google Photos logo over in here. So I'm going to search for images. I thought that would come right up, but maybe not. Stick with me here. This is worth it because this is a cool thing Slides does most people don't know about. So I'm going to find a nice big logo to put in here. Here it is right here. I'm going to put the Google Photos logo into my slide from the Explore tool. All right, so there we go. Got a square slide, got the Google Photos logo on there. Hopefully this works. It's kind of tricky. When you have a big picture in your slide, what should happen when I click the Explore tool, and watch it not happen today because y'all are all watching today. But when you do that, you'll be able to see custom layouts for your slides. And Brooke, why is it not happening right now?
I'm not sure.
So what normally happens, I hope I don't have to like try to make you envision this without being able to show you. What should happen when I have a slide with a big picture in it and I go to the Explore tool is it should show me all the layouts.
It should.
Like it says it's going to, but it's not showing me. All right, let me try a different picture.
Something must be going on. I just did it in the presentation that we've been working in, and it's not showing it in that either.
Okay, well, maybe something's going on today.
Yeah.
And I like to do it with something with a transparent background, because what it will do when you put these pictures into your slide, that looks kind of like Babs. What it should do, you've got the picture in there, and then you go to the Explore tool, is it should show you a bunch of different slide layouts, which it didn't do today, which is very sad. But try that. Make sure it's a big picture, insert it in your slide. You think it's because I inserted it with the Explore tool?
I don't know. I was just about to check it on another one. But I can't seem to find.
I hate it when things don't work when people are watching.
Especially when
Like,
it's live.
why can't it work when I'm by myself recording something? But let's try it again. Let's try it not inserted from Explore. Hopefully I didn't pick some image that can't ever insert.
Okay, I just put your image on a slide in a new slide deck, and it worked.
My image?
Just your picture, your headshot.
Oh, where'd you get that from?
From my files of pictures.
Oh, well, then you screen share and show us.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Y'all are about to get to see Amy's pretty face even more.
I hope it's a good picture. Good Lord. Who knows which one she picked? She could have taken all kinds of pictures of me. I wouldn't even know.
It's your newest headshot one you've been using.
Okay. All right. Those are pajamas, by the way, but.
Okay. Can y'all see my screen okay?
Yeah, it looks great.
So I've just added this picture of Amy on a new slide. And when I click on the Explore tool, see it starts to show my
I
layout.
wonder if it's because I made it square.
Maybe so. I just was confused because you did it. It worked. It wasn't working on our current presentation either, but that may be because we've already edited the slides.
Maybe.
So, but yeah,
All right.
it could have been because you did square.
Thank you for making me not feel crazy.
No problem.
That
And
worked.
here's that RTI presentation that I was talking
cool.
about.
Let's see.
So what we did was we made this front page, and so they would click on the tiers, and then depending on the level that they were working through, we would click on the clickable button. It would take them through all of the different procedures that they wanted us to know. Then they click back on the home button to go back to their tiers, and they can work through that. And it works through the whole system until they come back to the home page, which some of those links must be broken on there. I need to update it.
That's super cool. Love it.
But then that helped. And when I did this for that team and handed it to them, they were like, you just saved us 3 work days of cutting all those pieces of paper and binding them together and putting the updates. And it made it a living document. So as they needed to change things, they were able to go into, because they had the editable version, they were able to edit what they needed to on each slide and put new links and new resources. And then every year teachers had the current version.
That is so great. I love that idea. Yeah. So, okay. I'm really hoping that you guys thought of many, many different ways to use these techniques. And I hope you had a good time today and learned something new. And I can see you now. So will you give me a thumbs up if you learned something new today that you can use?
Great.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It was wonderful to learn with you again. Don't forget about us if you are looking for professional development, because we want to work with you guys and your colleagues. Have a great day.
That was so awesome, Brooke and Amy. Thank you so very much. I did paste into the chat window the link for the PDH for today, as well as some additional links for our home learning page on our website, and to sign up for additional events through IDEA. So go ahead and take a look at those. That link for the PDH will be available until midnight tonight. So go ahead and get that signed up. You know what? It says yep at the end of it, which is not the link, because I must have been accidentally typing in there as I was answering you ladies today. So I am going to throw that back in there, and this one will work.
There you go.
There you go. So yeah, use that new link. It shouldn't have said yep at the end. I apologize for that. I was answering one of your earlier questions, just didn't know I was doing it in my sticky note. So thank you so much. We appreciate this. I learned a ton of stuff, which was awesome. And I thought I was a slide guru, so who knew? That's awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's so great. Thank you for having us. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.